What's up, guys? Welcome back to Callahan Media. As always, my name is Lex. Before I get into this next video, I want to say thank you so much to all the new subscribers that have come to the channel. That last Ultraman reveal, identity reveal video took the hell off. I'm so grateful for everybody who came in and who subscribed to the channel. Now, without further ado, it's going to just kind of be a loose, timeline update on the status of the Superman film. We are a week away, just about a week away. Pretty sure the first showings of the Superman movie start next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. I've definitely heard other YouTubes talk about it. And I just kind of want to manage expectations a little bit because, speaking off the top of the dome, this film has so much to prove for the DC cinematic universe, especially with James Gunn being at the forefront of the marketing and everything else that's going on. I think there's a lot of things that people have seen that they... Oh, sorry, I heard a police siren. I think there's a lot of things that people are expecting. I know there's a lot of, divisive opinions about some of the clips and stuff that have been released. I just kind of want to dive into a couple of those and kind of talk about what my expectations are and, basically how I react to a lot of those things. So again, if you like this content, go ahead and please drop a like, subscribe. If you think I'm dumb as hell, drop a comment and let me know. I love haters and I don't mind. I'll take it all. Feel free to troll me. I'm totally down. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right. So first thing we need to talk about is the box office for this film. So it's looking like the overall production budget for this film is reported to be about $250 million. So if we're going to take that in perspective, I think that there's a very high chance that that could be an original ballpark number. There's a huge chance that the budget could have, ballooned a little bit during production. I'm not sure. I know there was, also a good bit of research that were done. So at this point, if we're going to consider it to be a, $200 million marketing budget, this film really needs to hit about $700 million in order to turn a profit. And I think that, one of the things I'm taking down from the marketing, especially as far as the animation style and as far as the, the overall tone of the film is concerned, is that there's definitely a huge family element to this film. I think that Gunn literally is trying to line this up for a perfect slam dunk. Talking about how and where a lot of these families are going to be going to see this movie on opening weekend. Because realistically speaking, I think that there should be about a $150 million opening, just speaking objectively. I think that would give them strong numbers moving forward. But I mean, also it's going to really determine, once the opinion gets out there of this film, whether that takes a huge dip in week 2, which has kind of been a trend in a lot of the films so far in the year 2025. So far, we've just had a couple of films pop in, like Sinners and stuff that just had intimate legs, and just like the Minecraft movie, and stuff like that. And so I think that, Gunn is kind of trying to do something interesting with the film while also making it really digestible to casual moviegoers. I think that, all bullshit aside, my personal take on the film so far, at least from what I've seen, I haven't had a chance to see it yet, but I will also be seeing it next week as early as I can. I'm actually going to look at Fandango, see what tickets and what seats are available now. But my personal opinion is I really think that there's so much that needs to be done right. With this film coming off the top, is also already, a huge revolving door of characters, Green Lantern, Hawkgirl, on top of that, we got Lois Lane, we got, Clark Kent, of course, a real Clark Kent to go along with Superman. There's so many different facets to this film. We're bringing Ultraman in, there's fucking the Hammer of Arabia, there's just all these, immaculate cast characters. But I really think that it's super important in order for the storyline to be streamlined and to absolutely emphasize the fact that this is a Superman film, not just a family Justice League movie. Because to be frank, a lot of the gripes with the original DCEU under Zack Snyder was that they kind of rushed the forming of the Justice League. And I'm hoping that in this film, James Gunn actually takes the time to kind of establish Superman's, energy, his ethos a little bit stronger. Because in my personal opinion, I think that David Cornsweet could have, what it takes to kind of, idolize the Clark Kent character. But I also think that there's a huge part of this that really needs to have Lex Luthor be a reputable iteration of this character. Because so far, my only gripe with this film, and I love Nicholas Hoult as an actor, and I'm sure that, Gunn's gonna have some crazy evil shit, coming from Lex Luthor in this film. But I really think that it's huge for Lex Luthor to actually be an intimidating villain. So far, I'm seeing a lot of snarkiness, and for as far as the clips are concerned, we had the clip where Superman busts into Lex Luthor's office. Where's the dog? Where's the dog? Ah, throws the table, and it kind of just seemed, personally to me, a little bit uncharacteristic of Superman. I feel like, in a lot of other iterations of the character, he would have kind of dropped down and just kind of calmly been like, where's Crypto Lex? Had some sinister, tone underneath that. And then Lex would have been like, ah ha ha ha, I got your dog, But I mean, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe, the tone's going to shift and maybe the balances between those two two characters and the dichotomy between the two, good and evil, being maybe will shift, and maybe it'll prove to have Lex to finally morph and be that truly intimidating version. Because so far, I think that even Nick Holt's speaking style is a little bit classical, a little bit neoclassical. But maybe I can be proven. Maybe at the end of the movie, he'll just be like, "Fuck this shit." We'll see. The other clip that release was Lex in the Fortress, and this is kind of derivative of the same thing I'm talking about in when I really need Lex Luthor's characterization to be really precise. And I think that he goes on a monologue about how Superman is this person with a cocky mouth and a cape, and he's just a man. He's not a man. He's an it. And so far, I'm just not feeling the intimidation factor from it. Hopefully, seeing the movie in theaters, I'll probably try to find a cool group of people to go see this with. But I'm really hoping that it comes across as a positive version of the character, because so far on film, Zack Snyder's Jesse Eisenberg was divisive, to say the least. There was definitely a sense of cunning, but overall his character just really didn't land with the massive part of the audience. Gene Hackman's iteration of the character back in the original Donner era Superman, that was a little bit campy as well. And then we had Michael Rosenbaum in the Smallville series, which was definitely a little bit more intimidating. But it's also one of those things that we never got to see him truly realize because of the lower production quality of that production. And so, with that being said, guys, I know we're a week away from Superman. I'm so stoked. I'm so hoping for some sort of alluding to Batman. I know we saw him in Creature Commandos, if you guys didn't know that. But I'm really hoping that they do that, because I feel like in order for this universe to take off, there needs to be just a little bit of leniency and a little bit of hope driving what's to come next. Because with Supergirl being the second film in the DCU, I'm kind of already overloaded with the Kryptonians so far. So, with that being said, guys, I'm going to definitely do more videos soon. I'm going to try to get a couple out here. I apologize for how long this video took. I actually had to take a trip to California to be the best man at my friend's wedding. So obviously I was gone and I was out of Georgia for a while, but I'm back in Atlanta and I'm going to have a lot more content coming to you guys soon. So without further ado, let me know what you guys think. Do you think that Lex Luthor has to bring this move together, or do you think that all of this rests on Krypto and Clark Kent's duality? My name is Lex. This is Callahan Media, and I'll see you in the next video.